Oh, there.
we go. Okay, beautiful. I'm gonna have to start paying for Zoom.
Okay.
Uh, thanks for doing this, first of all.
Of
Um,
course.
yeah, you've been, super instrumental in my journey or whatever, the right languages, which is something I want to talk to you about is the use of language
Yeah.
in this sort of non-dual space or, whatever it is. Um, yeah, it seems to me like what you do is a little different than what a lot of the other non-dual speakers do. And the way I think of that is directness. And I wonder if you think of that in the same way. How would you describe what you do?
Um, it's free of jargon. Um, the language is a construct, right? So when the language becomes very repetitious, very um jargon like and very dogmatic, then it becomes a belief system.
Mm,
And the seeker that is seemingly looking for liberation gets caught up in concepts. Even calling it no concept is a concept, teaching, no teaching. So it's just really the opposite of another, right? So when I say directness, it's more like a direct experience, but without the experiencer,
mm,
without the trappings of language, because language becomes a block rather than a liberation, because language can only take you to the opposite.
mm,
So even saying that it's just what's happening just becomes another belief system.
mm,
There's no one here becomes a belief system. And if you have 200 100 speakers speaking the same way over and over again, then the seeker or the listener now thinks that they have to speak that way to be liberated,
right.
which just becomes a little bit more performative.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. I adore it, and but at the same time, for this from the seeker's perspective, it becomes just another carrot again, that I have to speak that way, or I have to be able to get into the languaging. And even if they say that this is not about the language, I think that's still just another belief system.
Mm,
When they say that it's just very limited, because there's this clarity, there's limited words that you can use. Then if there's real clarity, what I'm saying, then you can say anything,
right. Right.
because because it's not really conveying a message, because the message becomes another obstacle. It becomes another belief system.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so true. And I've even seen it in myself just starting this channel and feeling like there's lots of things I want to say, but then some things I'm like, oh, I shouldn't say that because then people will think that I don't really get it or that I haven't me or like all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this, yeah, there's this.
Let's get rid of this me no me thing, right? Because it just becomes another carrot to become a no me, or there's a me. It's just opposites. It's
Mm,
just another. It's just another belief system.
mm,
Although what I'm saying, there might be some sincerity in trying to express that there's no one, because that's quite clear. When
mm,
it becomes, if you can't articulate that, then it becomes another parroting,
mm,
another copycat, kind of like secondhand knowledge. Because kind of like what you've seen through this is not a secondhand knowledge. It's the absence of knowledge. Actually, it's
mm.
the absence of knowing. It's the absence of language. So why are we stuck again in language?
Mm. And it also is already. So that
Yeah.
to me kind of says that it's free and open for everyone. There's no
Yeah.
really, yeah, there's no really anyone who gets it or doesn't get it or teachers or that's the way it feels to me. Like this is really just open.
It's wild openness, you know what I'm saying? And it's and the something's quite problematic with non-duality is that there is now opposing belief systems in non-duality. So one will say it's all awareness, and the other one will say it's nothing being everything. But both are thoughts, both are thought systems, both are um, beliefs, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
So and then it contradicts when saying that this can't be known, this is indescribable, and then they'll describe it as it's awareness, or it's nothing being everything. So it creates this hidden stick on a carrot on a stick, so to speak. Because how do I get nothing being everything, or how do I get into awareness? One will say that you would have to practice being aware of being aware, and the other one will be like no practice, which is still a practice. So the seeker gets goes in a circle
Mm.
over and over again, and it goes from one side to one side. And I've been noticing that, right? Because person was like, I was listening to this person before, and then and I switched to this person, and I switched, and then here I am now. um isn't the it's just a story, I guess. But to be an effective speaker, wouldn't it be great to end the seeking through some clarity rather than believing what the speaker is saying, because you just get caught up in another
Yeah.
um language merry-go-round, basically.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's authentic. Essentially, it's
Yeah.
authentic. Yeah. And that,
Admittedly, I'm saying, because what, in the when I started speaking, there was a lot of just a blueprint of more of the radical thing. But I noticed that, that repetitious, there's no one here and everything, um becomes, rather than clarity, it creates this almost kind of like a cognitive dissonance, because
mm,
from the seeker there is this feeling of someone here, but someone saying that there's no one here.
mm.
So
Because
which one is it? Again, what? It just creates that there is a future to go to, a next that needs to happen. And and so the way that I've been speaking about this is quite directly, and and rather than adhering to a set of belief systems or a way to talk about this, right?
yeah.
And for some odd reason, what I'm saying, um and again, this is just, there's no one better here or worse, what I'm saying. But how come it's just all talk?
Mm.
Where are the people that gets free from this? It's very far few in between. All right. So when I do my one-on-ones, I'm happy if I have six of them, there'll be six of them that would have some clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was just quick shout out to your one-on-ones. Anyone who hasn't done one, I think should do one, because they're like, for me, when I came to your one-on-ones, I had been in this cycle, we've talked about, of just going to a lot of speakers who are fine, nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
But there was just this stuckness. There was just this sense of, they're saying there's no one. I feel like I'm someone. So
Yeah.
that must mean that they get it and I don't get it. And it's just was very depressing. And when
It becomes gatekeeping, right? It's like a lot of
exactly.
gatekeeping. Yeah. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, no, no worries. Yeah. No, it's absolutely gatekeeping. And I don't even think that they're even conscious of it necessarily, but that's what it is. And I think that when I did even that first one-on-one with you, it just felt like you opened the gate. Like you were just like,
Yeah.
oh, you can come in. There's nothing wrong with you
Yeah.
coming. Like you're totally, yeah, there's no reason you can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it was just like, it almost felt like my two lives were married, like my trying to be no one and my feeling like I'm someone. It was just like, that's okay.
Yeah.
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 Because it's not really someone's idea. Because if there's really no one, then there's really no idea about this.
Mm.
And there was a refinement in me speaking about this, and I was kind of like focused on more on the one-on-one, kind of like when I did my meeting on Sunday. I just kind of like went off. I'm like, enough of this Q&A, because it proposes that someone knows and you don't know.
Mm.
And then at the same time, you know what, it keeps on saying it's indescribable, it's unknowable. But when you have a speaker that keeps on responding to that questions, they come from a place of knowing.
Mm.
That's what appears, you know what I'm saying?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. So the question is like, how do I get there? How many more meetings do I have to attend? Do I have to see you in person? You know what I'm saying? It's like I used to do one-on-ones for free, and I really love it. It got abused a little bit, like I
Yeah.
would people that would troll it and everything. But if anyone wants to do one and they can't afford it, I don't gatekeep it and everything, right? I still have to eat. I still have to pay for Zooms
Yeah.
and everything. But
Mm.
the directness is um is to end the seeking, not to maintain it. It's a
Mm.
breakup basically with non-duality, because non-duality is just another concept, right?
Mm.
And I'm just so happy when someone calls me when the post-seeking kind of like stories, and they're more authentic, they're more alive, and they have not adapted into a language
Mm.
now. And and I love the way that you're presenting it more into the authenticity. And
Mm.
you can use, saying like any of those stuff, because it's nothing is original, everything has been repeated, and it's just words,
Mm.
really, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
um don't feel that you have to belong to this or that,
Mm.
because that's just another trap.
Mm. Totally.
Yeah.
and that I don't know what you would call it, a method or something, the going in between. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what that is and how you stumbled on
Yeah. It's
it.
not really a method. It's not really a technique. It's just something that I meet where people are at, right? So what people are usually at, they have this belief and they want to get rid of that belief.
Mm,
Or there's a me, they want to get rid of the me. There's a contraction energy and they want to be released. But all of that is just thoughts, really. I go really, really directly, right? It's so in between this and that, there's a gap, like an infinite gap that the mind, the me, the self can't go,
mm,
it can't go there. The belief, between belief and doubt, there's also just this almost like an obliviousness. But
mm,
that obliviousness suspends that belief that you are what you think you are.
mm,
And it creates this just this clarity without any words. And it's better than in my opinion, right? Because it's better than believing that there's no one here and hopefully one day will pop and click that there's no one here, because that just becomes a belief. So
mm,
when I say what's between a me and no me, boom,
mm.
simple, clear.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you don't have to memorize it, and I'll probably change this in a couple of weeks. I'm always refining the language because the seeker is quite although there's no seeker really, but it's quite cunning, it's quite witty, right?
Yeah, it
The
adapts. Yeah.
mind is quite witty, right? Because he will adapt into it. So before, what, there's a trajectory, kind of like how there's always like an evolution of what's happening, like there's AI now, and even in the natural world, like the giraffes have longer necks because of the plant that just kept on growing, so they adapted to it. It's the same with seeking. Before, you would need to go to an ashram and or become a monk, you know what I'm saying, to be able to even consider this suggestion that there is an enlightenment, an awakening, or a dropping away of the self. um and then it became awareness, and from the it became I am that, and awareness. And then there was a great 20 years ago, there was this great communication called the open secret and everything, which was Tony. But it's 20 years ago, it's a bit stale now.
Mm,
Everybody knows now, can repeat verbatim, I'm saying, what's being said, and it's just repetitious. Props to Tony. But I think that new speakers should be coming, it should be bold, be daring, be original, and
mm,
stop copying. It's like it's just cheap imitation. And I did that too, what, admittedly, because I didn't know what words to use. But as clarity is just not really defined by words or definitions, um yeah, it's meeting where the seekers are, right? It's either, let's just admit it, right? This non-duality, when there's charging of people, then it becomes a business of suffering, whether you're in it to maintain it or to end it.
mm,
So I'm in the ending of seeking and the ending of suffering, not into conceptualizing that there's no one here to suffer.
mm.
There's
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Or if you become aware of awareness, then it's all just, for me, it's just all noise. There's a clear silence in between. And I'm proud of the one-on-ones, because you know what, people that can't afford it just watch it, and they get like 2 or 3 emails every day saying that they've ended the seekings. They didn't even have to pay money for it.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, so it's quite awesome, rather than someone been listening to the same thing over and over again for the past 10 years, and
Mm,
they're just really frustrated, right? So yeah, there
yeah.
should be a new era, that there should be no more speakers and messengers, and
Mm,
there should just
yeah.
be this
Openness.
immediacy, like what I said to you, like, let's be friends, man, like it's
Yeah.
okay. Right?
Yeah.
Stop putting people on a pedestal, because that's just a belief. you,
Mm,
you believe that there's no one there, you
mm,
believe that there's someone enlightened. But
mm,
if there's no one there, then it's just another idea. You know what I'm
mm.
saying?
Totally. Yeah.
And even just saying that it's not an idea, that's still an idea.
Mm,
Just I'm poking holes at all the contradictions. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Totally.
And just be an anarchist, a rebel. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's how I see you. I really see you as a revolutionary, and I
Yeah.
think this directness or whatever, however it's called, maybe it'll change in 2 weeks, but whatever it is, I think this is really the future of this space. Like I think that, whatever the other things are, the awareness or
Much respect, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? There's
totally,
room for
totally.
everyone, right? Yeah.
Totally. But and no, totally. But I do think that, like you said, just this openness, this kind of like I feel like in society nowadays too, there's just much less of a need for leaders than there used to be. Like whether it's like political leaders or spiritual leaders or whatever it is, people are kind of coming out and be saying like, oh, we can all do this. We can all be a part of it. We don't really need
Yeah.
to be led in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why I think it's a wonderful future. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? In the story, of course, right? You know, like you have this. It's just repackaged from the guru system. Now there's no guru. Now, you know what I'm saying? That there's no more. What do you call it? There's no teaching, but that's still a teaching.
mm,
No teaching, teaching. No, you know, it's still in the realm of words.
mm,
So I'm going into this directness
mm,
where you and I dissolve, and you and there's no you and there's no I because it's just words.
mm,
And in between you and I, you know what I'm saying, we melt into this directness
mm,
where you know what, all the judgments, all the thoughts, all the belief systems become irrelevant.
mm,
So I don't even have anything to debate about anyone because it becomes a moot point because it's
mm,
just slinging back and forth of words. One side will say that the radical people are all wrong. There
mm,
should be practice. Boom. And the radical people will say they're teachers. You know,
mm.
so rather than, you know what, it's so um funny that non-duality has two opposing sides.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
funny.
So
Yeah.
I'm the Switzerland. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm in the middle. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
And
There's just peace here. There's just
yeah,
peace here. Yeah.
it's a tough
Yeah.
place to be because in a sense, everything sort of needs to be said in words in some way.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
darkness needs to be sort of led there in
Yeah.
words. So it's a difficult space to be in, I think, because it's like I couldn't put my finger on exactly what you're saying, but
Yeah.
there's just this clear
Yeah.
openness,
Yeah.
which is really wonderful. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is really like just the unconditionality of it, right? Because you know what? When it becomes an idea, like you know, like it's when it becomes the idea of pure, the idea of radical or absolute, they're just ideas.
Mm,
Every single word is made up. And you know, we're now worshiping words like nothing. We're now worshiping words like awareness. And
totally.
then we're, you know what I'm saying, and it is
Yeah.
just, and then if some, and then it's just belief systems.
Mm.
And if somebody yells there's no one to believe, that's even a belief.
Right.
There's no way out of language, right?
Yeah.
So in between where the language can't go, in between where you know authenticity just blossoms, right? And there's just this compassion and everything because you know what I'm saying, it's like I love what I do because I love seeing people wake up from the dream of words or
Mm,
drop away the concepts, drop away the belief systems, not reinforcing it over and over again by having a position or having, you know, saying something that there's still a contracted energy there, or you know, you have to be aware of awareness, right? It becomes this ideas from people. Um, in the directness, there's no ideas.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it
it's
really is.
clear. Sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 no. I was just going to say it really is immediate and sort of can't
Yeah,
be carried into the next, which is
yeah,
it becomes clear in your meetings that this isn't something that can be um, really anything done with. It's immediately this or here or how. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's beautiful, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's in between practice and no practice, right? What is it? Because practice, even no practice is a practice, if you look at it. Even doing and non-doing, right? So non-doing becomes still a doing. So
Mm,
there's really no escape from the prison of words, but there's a gap in between where there's an open space where everything is allowed, nothing is denied,
mm,
and it's free,
mm.
free from dogma, free from concepts. I don't even want to call it anything, and I don't want to be the person behind it or whatever, right? Because you
Right.
know, in full humility, right? This clarity has always been here, but I've always wondered about words. Words will always muddy it and everything. But
Mm,
sometimes, you know what? We learn how to float in water
mm. And it does.
rather than walking on it, right? So
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it does feel like floating. I think a lot of people use
Yeah.
the term free falling, but I
Yeah.
actually think floating is sort of a better word. I think
Yeah.
floating, it's kind of like a wave or a just flowing or
When
uh
you stop struggling swimming, you know what I'm
mm,
saying? You just float, right?
mm,
So
it's beautiful. It's really
yeah.
beautiful. It's really, I think it's really beautiful. You also mentioned compassion. I wanted to ask you quickly about that.
Yeah.
Because compassion is sort of was a hard part of this for me because I come from a very spiritual kind of thing.
Yeah.
Love and compassion are really
Yeah.
really important to me. And a lot of speakers, again, no judgment or anything, but a lot of speakers were saying things like, that there shouldn't be, there's really no compassion or there's no empathy or and that sort of thing. Yeah, what do you think?
And the thing about that is because now it becomes kind of like a truth, right?
Mm,
Now it becomes a belief system because they're basing it from there's no one here.
mm,
So if there's no one here, there should be no compassion. If there's no one here, there should not be anything at all then.
yeah.
Yeah. So how come they'll call it hopeless? Who's it hopeless for?
Right, exactly. Yeah, or what's
It's
hope?
contradictory.
Yeah,
There's so many holes in it, right? And
totally.
people believe it, right? Because it's the message. Or from the awareness, they'll be saying that there should be compassion. There should be this. So you know what? There's this directness, you know what I'm saying? That that is in between compassion and your no compassion. There's just this meeting where the person's at.
Mm,
And then before somebody says there's no one there, then that just becomes a belief system rather than liberation, it becomes a jail cell.
mm,
You will never get this because there's still someone there. So you
mm,
keep on going to the meetings, you keep on going to maybe going in person because apparently the energy is better there.
mm,
Then all of a sudden you spend tons and tons of money after 10 years or 20 years and you still can't get there because you know what? Because someone still poses as an authority.
mm. Right.
Someone still maintains that there's no one here, that someone died and everything, which is just a story,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
the story becomes very attractive.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's just a carrot. It's a carrot. It's a carrot. It's a carrot, right? So people just don't see it that way.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I think also the compassion that you offer is allows people in, like I said before.
Yeah.
So much I think of what I was feeling was that, oh my gosh, these people are saying there's no empathy, there's no one here.
Yeah.
So like there was just a locking up, like I'm
That's a
under
belief. Yeah.
attack, right? Yeah. And sort of so I think that love and compassion is a really beautiful way to kind of let the person know that it's safe to come in. The
It
water is warm.
is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And you know what? Because the indoctrination that there's no one here becomes really depressive. I've talked, the reason I'm speaking out is because I've so many people now that have been depressed of this, and some people even suicidal
Mm,
because of that. Hopeless, no compassion, no whatever.
mm,
And I don't want to be complicit to it. You know what I'm saying? And there's clarity here that does not, if I get canceled again, I've been canceled before, right? So there's a rebel here that just really kind of like, you know what, and 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 I'll say it. You know what I'm saying? I think that some of the speakers is just all talk
mm,
and people are just waiting for the grace to happen that the me will drop away.
mm,
For me, you know what I'm saying? When I started seeing people, I'm like, have you really been seeking for 20 years? I'm like, that's how I started. Let's do one-on-one. Right. So it's funny when I was in it, you know what I'm saying? You know what, the leader would call me and tell me that you're one of the clearest one. And
mm,
then, but when I when I basically started just being more authentic and everything, they would say that um, there's a teacher there.
mm.
Who cares?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then you believe that there's something wrong now, because you believe that there's no one here, then everything becomes wrong. Or when people, and it's the same thing, it's just a repackaged awareness, you know, it's a repackaged, anything that Osho is saying is just repackaged or Muji into a more, and it appeals to a lot more people that are more nihilistic and more atheistic and everything. But it creates almost like a divide again
Mm,
because
totally.
one side of the thing is calling, like it's all God and everything, there's no God. So it's just playing with another, it's just the opposite of something. Why don't we go something with fresh and direct? That's all old school now, right? and
Mm,
and just respect for what they're saying too, but in the directness where the old and the new meets, there's this timelessness.
Mm, that's awesome.
There's this clarity that
Mm,
does not have to be defended,
mm.
that does not have to be repeated over and over and over again. Because you notice there's a dissolving of the character, it just becomes really spacious, isn't it?
Yeah. Really
Yeah,
open, really flowing. Totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The energy just seems to move and
yeah,
does it on its own, and there's no
yeah,
no problem. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right? Because you know what, um um there's just equality here.
Mm,
There's equality. There's this, there's this unicity. There's no Arya and there's no Emerson. There's no difference.
mm.
When I see when I do one-on-one, I don't see a me or a no me. I just see something that is incredible. You know what I'm saying? Someone that is seemingly kind of like are sick and tired of seeking, and they just want to drop all the concepts, basically.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
just take a breath. Yeah.
yeah,
That's all. I mean, that's my intention for this channel as well, is just to be authentic and to kind of open the gates, like,
yeah,
yeah, just to really kind of, yeah, just let everyone know that, like, this isn't special or high
yeah,
on the top of a mountain somewhere or anything like that.
yeah.
It's just really simple and immediate,
Mm-hmm.
and it's liberating. It's really I feel very lucky to have stumbled across your videos and everything like that, because it just opened up a lot of freedom in my life and a lot of,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot
Thank
of relaxation and less suffering and things like that. So really, really wonderful.
Thank you. And you know what? And liberation should not be approved by anyone, because liberation is not a cookie cutter thing. It
Mm.
should not be according to someone. There
Oh,
should not be kind of like almost like and I'm happy that there's freedom there. But when somebody tries to put you down, you know what I'm saying? Like, someone that thinks that they're above you because they think that there's no me, run.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because they're just trying to milk you with money and everything and just trying to get followers and everything. Um, I get rid of the followers so that there's just this directness.
Mm,
Yeah.
perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this, Emerson. It's
Yeah.
great to
Thank
talk
you,
to you.
Ari. Love you very much, man.
Love you too, dude. Love you
Take
too. Yeah,
care.
we'll talk soon, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you have okay.
Yep.
Um, oh, okay. That's it. Thank you.